Meanwhile, memorial services and prayer vigils across the country are honoring Kirk, the conservative and pro-life advocate killed last week while debating college students in Utah. Among the services was a gathering at the Kennedy Center in the nation's capital.
Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently.
Several thousand attendees included officials from the Trump administration and around 85 members of Congress. Other memorials honoring Kirk included one at Utah Valley University, where the 31-year-old was assassinated just last week. For more, we turn to Jake Hoffman, Arizona State Senator, who helped organize yesterday's event in Washington, D.C. Senator Hoffman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So first, tell us more about yesterday. How many people were there and what was it like?
Well, it was an electric environment. God filled that room and filled that concert hall because we could not have pulled off what came together in 48 hours without God's help. We had over 5,000 people registered to come to the event. We packed out the Kennedy Center and ended up having to turn people away, which is, I think it tracks with Charlie's life because Charlie never did anything small. What was also really amazing and probably the most powerful element of the event was that every single speaker from RFK Jr. to Tulsi Gabbard to Carrie Lake to Caroline Leavitt and so on, they all spoke about Charlie's passion for Jesus Christ. Charlie was resolute in his belief that if you love Jesus and if you follow Jesus, Jesus would rescue you from the evils of this world. And he believed that and lived that right up until the tragic moment that an assassin took his life and sent him home to be with our Creator. I apologize. I've been friends with Charlie for a very long time, so I get a little choked up, but it was an incredible opportunity to see his life reflected in the words of those speakers.
Charlie was steadfast in his mission, and of course, he had his famous debate. In the wake of all of this, many political leaders have blamed rhetoric and ideological division for contributing to political violence. What responsibility do you think individuals, churches, civic leaders have to guard their speech, especially in polarized times?
I think Charlie would be the first to tell you that it's not as much about guarding speech. Charlie was a firm believer that there is uncomfortable speech, there is honest speech, but speech is in and of itself not violent. And, to that end, I think Charlie made it clear with his life and now with his legacy that we need to be willing to speak truth kindly. We need to be willing to speak it in faith, and we need to be willing to have the courage to speak it when it is uncomfortable to speak. But we have to do it in a civil way that allows us to have a free exchange of ideas that builds American greatness, not detracts and deteriorates from American greatness.
Now, Charlie often spoke publicly about his Christian faith. In what ways do you believe his faith shaped his approach to activism, and how might that legacy influence those who follow him in the wake of his death?
Well, listen, I have enjoyed watching Charlie and watching him evolve over the last 10 years. And what I can tell you is I have never seen an exchange between Charlie and someone else where he didn't, at the end of that exchange, have a human moment and understand that, look, we may disagree, but that's okay. We're going to continue to have these conversations. And the reality is we have to be willing to speak truth with love. Charlie did that well. I think some of the most telling debates that Charlie had were with members of the trans community, right? A community that is antithetical to Charlie's political and faith beliefs. Yet when he would have those conversations, he took the time. Sometimes you'd have the crowd that would jeer or heckle, and he would take the time to say, no, hold on, let them speak. Let's have this conversation. And he would lovingly engage in debate with them and ask them questions that, yes, they challenged, their beliefs. but they were done from a position of respect. And I think that's something that politics in general could use a whole lot more of. We need to be able to recognize that, look, our founding fathers didn't all agree on everything, clearly. As we've gone through society, when Abraham Lincoln was president, the nation didn't agree on everything, but we have always sought to be a more perfect union. And Charlie embodied that, I think, in the most perfect way in modern society.
Jake Hoffman, Arizona State Senator, who helped organize yesterday's event in Washington, D.C. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.